So how are you guys doing? How's it going?
Good.
Very good. Where are you calling from, Matt?
I'm calling from a place that has some good Scorpions history, Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. The very first show ever we played in the United States. You mean
World Series of Rock.
Stadium?
Yeah,
The World Series of Rock, right? The World Series of Rock.
I was not at any of those legendary World Series of Rock shows, but Clevelanders still talk about that show with your band in particular. Like it's one of the legendary ones in the series. So it was a good day from what I hear. You guys tell me, was it a good show? Was it an exciting show playing, for the first time in America?
Yeah, it was very exciting. I mean, we played in the morning, the opening band, and I think there were already 30,000 people in the stadium. Later on, it was up to 70,000, I think. And we played, we were full of energy. People liked it a lot. And I think we were supposed to play 30 minutes, but after 35 minutes, we started another song and another song. And so finally, they were threatening us that they would pull the plug. But because, time was flying by because we were so much into it that we didn't realize, 30 minutes is almost nothing. So that we created some overtime there.
Yeah, we were totally overexcited. And there were so many great bands that day on the bill, AC/DC, Aerosmith, Journey, Thin Lizzy, it was amazing. And for us, it was such an important start, and to be in America and play for the American crowd for the very first time, it was really something special. And that show was like a milestone just to start with. Cool.
Well, speaking of milestones, I mean, it is going to be a great way to start off the new year with a new record from the Scorpions. And for this band, it's going to be 50 years since you released your first album. So what does it mean to you two to reach that milestone?
To be honest, we don't think about it too much, It's great. And it's amazing we're still alive. We're still around. We're still creating new music. When you think about it, that's amazing, but you don't want to think about those 50 years really. But it's a lot of mileage, and it's been an amazing journey from Lonesome Crow in 72 up to Rock Believer in 22. It's been an amazing journey, many highs, couple lows, but we're still around, and the most important thing, we still enjoy to create something new, to be up on stage and play for our fans, and we haven't lost that passion at all. And if it's up to me, another 50 years would be cool,
Yeah, we are basically looking forward all the time, and we need to be reminded of our, you could say, great career. And over the many decades, and it's been a fantastic career, but we don't really spend much energy on looking back onto the past, unless we see a documentary about ourselves, where we go, okay, we've done that too. We are much more focused on what we do now and what is coming up next year with the new album, the tour, and this is what we really are thinking about.
So Klaus, just for perspective, so Lonesome Crow, that first album, what kind of are your memories of working on that first record? Because it sounds like it came together, first of all, very quickly in 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we were kind of looking for a studio really, and our very first experience was more like a studio running by like a music lover in somebody's basement, but it was not a real studio. And even back then, we had some special effects, like reverb stuff. And in this so-called studio, when we had our first session there, they didn't have anything like it, and then we realized this we're off for a wrong start here, right? You know, it's not a good idea. And so we were looking for a professional place. And I think Rudolf Schenker found it in Hamburg, the Star Studio. And Conny Plank was the engineer there. And he was the guy who recorded the first Scorpions album. And it was somebody who was at the time very experienced, very passionate about the music, and he worked with bands like Kraftwerk, for example. You know, so we were in Hamburg at the right place, and yeah, it's amazing. We recorded Lonesome Crow. It took us only a week, and including the mix. And Conny, he was taking care about our first record contract with Metronome Records in Hamburg as well, and so we were lucky that we had the chance to work with Conny Plank, who was a really special producer, and he had the right ears, and it was a great vibe between us, you know. So it felt great, and even we were like totally newcomers, you know, but being thrown into a real professional studio, and that was a great challenge for these young kids from Hanover, you know, but I think we worked our way well through the material. The songs were well rehearsed anyway. And so a week was cool, you know, with us.
So Peacemaker is the first song that fans are going to hear from this record. I wanted to kind of have you two just talk about that song a little bit, kind of tell us the origins of how that one came together.
Yeah. Pavel, our bass player, came up with a song that he had the original idea, and it was something that was super fast. It was, almost unplayable. But we tried, and we thought, it's not exactly, it doesn't sound like Scorpion. So we slowed it down and changed certain things. And then Rudolf came up with a different chorus. And so we worked on that song, and we liked it. It has a lot of energy. And we thought, yep, this could be one of the many songs. Maybe it goes on to the album. We were not sure at this time. And then when the record company came to listen to the studio, the place where Klaus is sitting now, they spotted it and they loved it, and they said, okay, it has to be on the album. And, we don't mind. It's a great song. But we had 19 or 20 to choose from. So at this time, we were not really sure what the final 12, 13 or whatever are going to be. And but they were 100% sure. And so we just said, okay, great. Any song of the ones we recorded is good for the album. And so this one is now the first single. And we just did a video. And, obviously you repeat the song again and again for another take. And that shows you it never gets boring. So it's a very good song. Another one of the songs that I really love from this new record is Seventh Son. Like, that just has such a classic Scorpions feel to it. Like, it's a great, and at times I would say almost just musically dark kind of song. So I'd love to hear from you guys a little bit more about that one, because that's one that I think that, and there's a lot of that on this record. I think fans are really going to dig that one.
Yeah, we had the feeling it has a vibe from songs like Enemy Magnetism or China White, and since we're really about to make an album with the old Scorpions DNA in a way, to go back to this kind of vibe, this track, I think it's the one with almost 6 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a pretty long one. This is like the real album track, but it starts with those guitar flageolet tones, and it has a special vibe, and it creates like a Far East vibe in a way, but when it comes to the lyrics, I think that song is free for interpretation, and it's like a modern painting in a way, you know, throwing colors at the wall, you know, and everybody can dive deep into this kind of feeling and come up with his own interpretation of it.
You kind of alluded to this, but one of the things about this album that I've heard you talk about, Klaus, Rock Believer, I know that you said at one point the goal was to make a record that spiritually would have the feeling of classic Scorpions records like Blackout, Love It for Sting, and even Love Drive. And that's music to Scorpions fans' ears. What do you guys think was the key to capturing that feeling?
I think part of it is definitely having the band in one room playing all together. You know, I mean, in modern times, we're all used to all those wonderful Pro Tools sessions. And basically, I could do the vocals in this place. Matthias could play his guitar in his studio at home, or the other way around. You know, I did actually a lot of basic tracks and in the pre-production vocals in my own place before I came here to Peppermint Park, where we recorded the album finally. But to have the band in one room together and to play together, to feel together, you know, I think that makes such a difference, and especially with a drummer in the band like Mickey D, who joined in 2016. You know, the songs feel very different, and it's like you're setting up yourself for performing live, and you figure out this would be a great song for our set list, you know, and therefore you play it live in the studio, and this is, I think, a big difference, like work a million other ways around it.
And also, we started out thinking we would produce this album with Greg Fiedelman, whom we met when we played Los Angeles, whom we met at the hotel. And then he came over to look at this Peppermint Park studio. And but then the pandemic hit. And we were trying it like we are doing it now through a Zoom. And it worked to a certain extent. He could hear us. We could hear him listening to our basic tracks. And we had all like iPads next to our faces. So in the recording room, we did everything we could. But then, 9 hours difference. He couldn't come over to us. He stayed in Los Angeles. We couldn't travel to California or the US in general. And so it meant we were already tired from a long day, and he just woke up. You know, we saw him in the morning with his coffee in his hand. You can only do that for a certain time. And then we decided there's no point. You need to be in the same room with the musicians. And so we decided to do it by ourselves. And I think this even, made it more a Scorpions album than if you have any producer who has his influence onto the music and the sound. So I'm pretty sure that this is a big factor that we sound like we sound now.
Yeah, that's something that I think about you guys is like, there are a lot of bands that they have the success that they have and they move to America, they move to somewhere else. You guys have never done that. Do you think that's like an important factor in the sound of the Scorpions, that you guys are still there in your home base where things kind of started?
Yeah, that's also an important part, you know. I mean, we're one of those very few bands who travel all over the planet, you know. We really play this global stage for so many years, decades. But still, we come back to where we grew up, you know, where we can feel our roots. We come back to the place here in Hanover where we have our family and friends, you know, and it's been always very healthy, you know, to feel where you come from. And therefore, the way it turned out, when we realized we couldn't go on with Greg Fiedelman, it was also to think about to have faith in our own team, you know, and to support our own people. And with Hans-Martin Buff, our engineer, you know, we felt very strong that we can pull this off without a big name producer, without big name studio. some flashy place in Los Angeles or wherever. We went through all those different stages, and of course, it's always cool on the back of the album in the credits, you know, recorded at Record Plant LA or wherever it is, you know. Now, this time it's Hanover, our home base, Peppermint Park Studio, and we're proud of it. And we really put all our faith into our own setup, in our own situation here back home, you know. And I think the way it turned out, looking back, it was the right decision that we kept going, because the pandemic, everything was so unpredictable, you know. You had no idea. When we talked with Greg last year, and he said, right now, maybe we should keep going in February next year, which is in February 21. We felt we would lose the momentum, you know, and we decided we just keep going, you know. And otherwise, when you look at what's happening now with all the travel restrictions, I think now in November, it's for the first time in how many months, 16, 18, whatever, for the first time, we could travel to America, or people can travel from the US to Europe, you know. And so we would have lost this whole momentum. So we decided we keep going, and we trust, and we have all the faith in ourselves. And this is my feeling, what also makes this album very, very special.
And then there's no outside writers on this record. How conscious was that decision, you guys?
When I made the statement, there will be no outside writers at all. That's a long, long time ago, you know, and all those websites repeated that statement again and again and again until now. But between when I made that statement, there are no outside writers at all. And now, I mean, there were songs like Seventh Son, for example, where we have outside writers involved, or Shining of Your Soul. But that's pretty much it, you know. It's very much an album where the compositions are by Rudolf Schenker, and I did the lyrics for the entire album, as far as I can remember, you know. So it's very much, in that sense, a Scorpions album where we were not having outside writers that came in with songs, and we just took those songs and maybe I wrote a couple of lines in the lyrics or whatever. No, this is very much a Scorpions album with almost 100% Schenker Meine compositions.
And then Shining of Your Soul, you mentioned it. That's another one that I wanted to highlight, because that one just has such a cool melodic structure. Like, what's kind of the backstory on that song?
Well, first of all, it's a reggae. It's like looking back at the 80s or 70s. Back then we had a song called Is There Anybody There?, which became very popular within the Scorpions community, our fans, and also a great live song. We had this in the set list for a long time. And I think when Rudolf came up with this riff, you know, I mean, maybe I should say a big difference this time was when in all those years, Rudolf had sent me demos, or Matthias had sent the demo. And I listened to the song structure was there. And then I tried to find the words. I tried to find the lyrics, what they wanted to say with their guitar work, you know. And this time, in 2018, I started writing lyrics. You know, once we made the decision we make a new album, I started lyrics without any music, you know. And the idea was, come on, give me a cool riff, you know, and here are the songs, here are the lyrics, and hopefully you guys come back and give me some great music, you know. And so that was the same with Shining of Your Soul. Lyrics first, And I think Rudolf came up with this wonderful riff and this wonderful groove, which is, yeah, like a Scorpions rock reggae, you know. And so it's a very typical Scorpion song in that way, you know. And it has a different vibe, different feel, you know, but it's one of the cool songs on the record.
I like the fact that it seems like this album, and it seems like historically you guys have kind of been this way, but it seems like this album was in process for a good while. You didn't feel like you had to like turn this out in a year or less. Like, do you feel like having the luxury of time helps you when it comes to making an album?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a real advantage this time was that we didn't have to waste any energy on traveling, on you know, being stuck in traffic. I'm thinking of LA right now, you know, going to the studio, coming back at night, and you know, there was basically no distraction. And due to the fact that nobody knew when the pandemic would be over, if at all, it was sort of an open end, and we were working at our own pace. You know, there was no producer saying, tomorrow I want this on tape and I want this song to be finished and whatever. And we didn't have a deadline from the record company either. We didn't even have a contract during the production. And so we could work just for ourselves. And that was, I think, is best for us. I must say we are not the fastest, but if we are done with it, it's usually great.
So Matthias, you've mentioned that there were 18 or 19 songs in contention for this record. I wondered from you both, was there ever a thought that maybe Scorpions put out a double album?
Yes. Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah.
But then we thought, maybe not. We were trying to, okay, what do we do with all those songs? But then the record company came in and they said, okay, 12 should be the maximum for a CD, but what do we do with all the others? Some songs are written specifically for our fans in certain countries, not for all the countries, but a few. Yeah. And so those were like considered to be bonus tracks from the start. And but now the solution is this: there's one basic CD, the standard one with 11 songs. The deluxe version has 16 songs, and then we have 3 bonus tracks left, the ones I just mentioned for certain countries, and those will be released.
And we're not supposed to talk about them right now.
No. No,
it's all good.
That's why we don't mention them.
Yeah,
there we go.
Exactly. You know, but yeah, I mean, there was so much music, and I must say, some of the songs, when we heard the demos already were pretty cool, you know, and it was like, do I have to sing this again? Oh, come on, no, it's pretty cool the way it is. No, come on, Klaus, you have to do it again. And so Hans-Martin Buff was also like, in the end, we produced this record together, you know, so, but he was really demanding also and pushing everybody for the best performance. And so I think in the end we have a great album. And like Matthias said, yeah, there was a moment we thought this could be a double album, maybe save those songs and maybe in 2 years from now to write a couple more and we have another amazing album. But this is now, and anyway, we wanted to give this to our fans and share those songs with the world.
Well, one of the cool things is for some of the shows overseas, you guys are going to have Mammoth WVH opening up. So I wondered if either of you had heard the Mammoth WVH record yet.
I think I'm very impressed, you know, and very talented young musician, and we can't wait to meet with him next year. Well,
here's the final one for you guys. You guys have mentioned Mikkey D a few times, and this is his first record with the band. Obviously, he has a heavy history, spending so many years as the guy in Motorhead. So what did he kind of bring to this record as he adds his talents into the Scorpions mix?
Oh, Mikkey is, he's an excellent drummer. and he really knows what he's doing. You know, we were playing with quite a few drummers throughout our history, but he's definitely the one who is very, very musical and can even, you know, he knows exactly what he does and which part of the song, like a year later. So we just recorded the video, it's obviously playback, but he knows exactly which break and which roll and whatever he did. So he's very conscious about his drumming. He sees it as a musical arrangement, not only a beat. And it was actually great to do all the basic tracks with him. And he has good ideas for endings and little stuff in between. So he's really very much involved, and it's great fun. And, you know, now we are together for a couple of years already, playing live around the world. And it's such a great feeling to have a drummer like this, because he's so reliable and so energetic. You know, you never have any doubt when you go on stage that something could go wrong. He is just right there where you need him.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you both so much for the time. I love this new record, considering that not too long ago we were talking about maybe the Scorpions saying goodbye. Like, yeah. I think it's pretty great that you guys are adding this extra chapter. It's a very worthy addition to the legacy of the Scorpions.
Now we are saying hello again.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Matt.